Dental implant office in-house lab. What you should know and what you should be asking your provider. I'm Dr. McRee here with JAX Implants and Dentures in Jacksonville, Florida, and this is all we do is dental implants all day long. And we have an on-site lab, and I want to go a little bit more in depth about that today so you know what that actually means. So I see online, a lot of people say they hit an in-house lab, and some do. But some people say that and they'll have, like maybe one 3D printer. And while that's okay, I don't know if I'd call that an in-house lab. And why does that matter and why should you care? So in-house lab for us, right? So we don't really send out anything else, right? We do everything under one roof, start to finish from the surgery and making the restoration, actually delivering the teeth. But the biggest part, and I think is a huge part of why things are made right and why they last, is having the in-house lab. And that means that we design, so everything's made on the computer. So it's custom fit to you and your face, and also can be able, to be modulated to, copy a celebrity or to look like a picture when you were younger, or even a friend of yours, whatever, or Dr. Russell's teeth perhaps. But what that allows us to do is have the ultimate control of design. So most people, if they don't have an in-house lab, will export that, right? So they could send it here to a lab in the United States, or just send it straight overseas. But a lot of designers in the United States or labs then send it overseas anyway. And so their quality control is maybe not there. I'm not saying that the teeth don't get designed, but it's definitely kind of run of the mill. It just is what it is. So there's just not that quality control and effort and just expertise that goes into the design. And that's one thing, right? So design is very, very important, but then the fabrication. So the fabrication is where it is actually, sent to a mill. It could be 3D printed for a temporary, but the mill is for your final. And that's what obviously most people should be concerned about, because that's what you're going to wear hopefully the rest of your life. And so the biggest thing is making sure that it fits right? So it's made well, good materials and all that stuff, but there's zirconia, which is the most popular material, can be finicky to work with. But when done well, is perfect. It's kind of like welding, right? So you do welding and a good weld is perfect. And you've heard people say, oh, that's a bad weld, it's gonna break. So they're both welding, but zirconia is kind of the same way, is that it has to be done right. And when it is done right, it's beautiful and works very, very well. So what we do here is we mill everything on site, but then we actually check afterwards, right? So we verify that that is perfect. So we do scans in the mouth, and that's what, if you didn't have an on-site lab, you can do that. But then we compare and actually use both data sets to say what was in the mouth to what was actually milled out, and are those the same? And you'd be shocked how often that is not. If the mills are not perfectly calibrated, and you need to calibrate them because otherwise it'll be way off. And if I didn't have an on-site lab, would I verify that this matches what was in the mouth? Well, the only way to know is if I have both data points. And if I don't have that, you can't do that. And so what happens is, you might do zirconia, maybe do 6 implants all the way across the arch, right? Well, you want what's called a passive fit. And I know this is not, I don't see this searched a lot online, but I'm telling you, this is one of the most critical things out there. And a huge reason why screws loosen, teeth break, implants fail, because it means it must perfectly fit onto that implant. And even a few microns off can be way off, right? And so the teeth will go in, you won't know, right? But it's kind of like if you've ever screwed something in and you just feel that tension, right? I mean, the dentist is not really going to say anything, it's kind of tight. It's like, well, it's tight, but something's binding. Well, if something's binding, something's going to give. And I know this seems like I'm over dramatizing this tiny little thing, but it's so important. And then additionally, aside from the actual fabrication, how long the longevity would last, we do a lot of craftsmanship to actually do hand carving, right? So the mills will design the teeth and actually put the embrasures, which is a little spaces in between, between your teeth perfectly. Well, mills only have such a small burr, so it can't get in there to create depth, to make that depth, to make it look natural. So when you see some teeth out there that look kind of flat, right? They just don't look natural. A lot of that is it could be the cheap materials. It's possible, so the light doesn't reflect off it. But a lot of times they didn't go back and do a little bit of that hand carving. So it's called green state. So zirconia is more like a chalky material. So you can go back in there and just hand carve it to make it look intricate. And so when you do that, that gives that lifelike appearance to the teeth, right? Because that's how natural teeth are supposed to be. So it gives it depth so it doesn't look like fake teeth. And so all of those things combined are why you're going to want to look for an on-site lab. And that doesn't mean that we're the only ones in the US that can do that. There are other ones that around, but you want to ask, you say, hey, when you say on-site lab, is it just a 3D printer or you design it here? Do you mill it here? Do you do the ceramics here? What all do you do here? And if something did happen, can you replicate it again for me? Because that can happen. So those are the big questions that I would ask if I were going to a dental implant consult and I wanted to know who's making my teeth.